Hey everybody, welcome to a new episode of Sipping with Jeremy. And today we're going to be reviewing two new Bottled-in-Bond Ryes from Cream of Kentucky. So this is the third iteration of Cream of Kentucky. Is now being run by Jim Rutledge, who was the former master distiller at Four Roses. Jim had retired a handful of years ago, but apparently got bored and wanted to continue his way of making whiskey. So he revitalized the name Cream of Kentucky with two of his friends, Stephen Camiza and John Mowry. And they originally started by buying a couple barrels and have now started putting stuff down themselves. So I mentioned that this is the third iteration of Cream of Kentucky. The original label was founded in 1888 and had a good run until Prohibition, which is something we've talked about on multiple videos here now. And then it was revitalized in 1934 and had a run during the 30s and 40s. So now Jim Rutledge is at the head of it, and these are his two newest expressions. They are both Bottled-in-Bond Ryes, which Bottled-in-Bond we have also reviewed in former videos. It was a law passed in 1897 that kind of just made it a safe way to buy bourbon. It was bottled and bonded by the government, and so you knew it was safe. Again, in previous videos, I've gone into more detail about what Bottled-in-Bond means. Don't forget to check those ones out. I'll make sure to add links to the bottom here. Jim is using Artisan Distillery out of Crestwood, Kentucky to produce these labels right now. I believe they are trying to work on their own distillery, but for the moment, he is working out of Crestwood, Kentucky to make these. But yeah, so we have two ryes today. Let's go ahead and get started with the first one. So our first Bottled-in-Bond rye is 100% rye, with some of it being malted, but it's all 100% Ryman rye. And it is made from a 50 to 60 barrel batch. Let's go ahead and give it a try. So definitely savory forward on this, or herbaceous forward, I should say. I get a lot of spearmint up front, a lot of baking spice, a lot of like black pepper. There is a floral rye component to this as well. And there's just like a hint, like a soft roundness of brown sugar on the finish. But yeah, definitely more of, this is a rye drinker's rye. There's a lot of those nice kind of what I like to call secondary rye notes to it. Like I said, the spearmint and the peppery kind of characteristics. So it's not just your straight like, oh, this just tastes like rye. While there are some floral rye notes to it, it definitely is a back seat compared to some of the other more herbal flavors that are in this. Yeah, if you are a fan of rye whiskey, this is definitely one you would enjoy. It just has a nice kind of softness on the back end because that little bit of brown sugar, but definitely is very spice friendly. Now let's go ahead and move on to this single barrel 7-year Bottled-in-Bond rye. So this second rye from Cream of Kentucky is a single barrel 7-year rye. So this came from a batch of barrels that were aged for at least 7 years. They say that they picked 30 barrels for this selection. This is barrel number 33 that we have at the store. And this is also made with Ryman rye. Interesting though, on the two bottles they are spelled differently. So on our first Bottled-in-Bond it was spelled R-Y-M-I-N. And on this bottle it is spelled R-Y-M-A-N. From what I understand, it's the same rye from what I've been researching on it. But it could be different or it could be a misspell. Interesting that if that got through, if it is a misspell, that I got through all the different layers of checks that people go through before releasing a bottle. But let's go ahead and try the 7-year. This rye definitely has more richness to it. I get a lot more brown sugar, red apple, little bit of cocoa, and there still is some really nice rye spice there, but it is definitely softened by the more richer flavors in this rye. This is more for like a bourbon drinker, I would think, because there is some softness to this. It doesn't hit you with rye or herbal flavors up front. You get some of those more softer kind of sweeter notes, and then it gets a little bit more rye spice on the back end, but definitely has much more of a general appeal up front, as it's not as spice driven as the other Cream of Kentucky Bottled-in-Bond rye was. Most of that's probably due to the aging. You are getting a couple more years in barrel here, so you're definitely going to pick up some more of those richer flavors from the barrel in that time. But yeah, just super nice, really easy drinking rye. This is definitely one that if people who are trying to get into rye whiskey, who are like, oh, I've been a bourbon drinker, or I've been like an Irish whiskey drinker, and I'm looking to get into rye whiskey, this is a good one to start with because it does have those softer flavors like you do find in bourbon and Irish whiskey, but also does give you a really nice rye spice note too. Alright everybody, that's going to wrap up this episode of Sipping with Jeremy. Thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to like and share. And hey, if you enjoy these videos and you wonder, oh man, I wish the Wine Country could do spirits tastings in store, unfortunately that's not going to be in the books anytime soon. But we are starting to work with Roxanne's Bar, friends of the store, to do tastings. So we are renting out their back room, the exhibition room, and doing a monthly tasting. We are calling it Wine Country on the Rocks. And next month, August 15th, will be our first tasting there this year. It's going to be rum-based. We are still figuring out the complete details of that, but we are going to have that set up in the next, by the time this video airs, hopefully a couple days after this video goes up. And yeah, we'll start doing a monthly tasting with Roxanne's. August 15th will be our first one, and we will be highlighting a rum brand. You'll be able to find more information from us shortly on that. Once we get everything detailed out, we'll make sure to put that out so you can get tickets through Roxanne's for that event, but it's going to be a fun one. Looking forward to do it on a monthly basis. And yeah, have a great day, y'all. Don't forget to drink well.